So here is how to use Fire Dragons effectively. Now I know I have, a 1 Guardian, but I'm just going to use him as another Fire Dragon in this squad. And I know I have Fugan, but I'm going to use him just as the X-Arch. So here's my simple little example on this table with 1 Carnifex as the opponent down here. Now, of course, there's going to be, many more than just 1 Carnifex on the other side of the table, but to keep things simple, I'm just going to use 1. Alright, so what are Fire Dragons really good at? Fire Dragons are really good at destroying vehicles. They're meant to take out vehicles. They just dominate vehicles. But I don't usually use them to take out vehicles. I just find it too good, which sounds stupid, but I do. Now, if they have like an armor, a value of a 14, such as a Land Raider, or if they have a Necron Monolith, then yeah, okay. I will use these guys to help take out those tough-to-kill vehicles. But usually, I don't bother, other than that. So what do I use these guys for? Well, I think these guys are really effective at just killing, or at least shooting at the hardest to kill enemy units. And what are some examples of these? Well, Orc Knobs, Terminators, Crisis Battle Suits, Broadsides, Wraith Lords, Carnifexes, these types of things that are really just going to be a pain in the butt to fight. These guys they're really good. So you don't want to send these guys at like 30-man, the 30-man Orc Squad, or the Repper Swarm, that type of thing. You're just going to waste them. You waste what they're good at. They're good at killing crazy, hard to beat units the enemy might have. So I'll just show you how to deploy them. Now, normally I never ever would just deploy them like this on foot, because here's the reason why. Well, let's say they don't have that great, their armor saves are only a 4, except for the X-Arch, which is a 3. So they're not going to survive that long. I mean, 1 round of shooting usually just knocks them out, or maybe what are they going to survive? 2 turns? And another reason why is because their range is only 12 inches. You don't want to like move up 6 and then run. We'll say you run 4, and look, you're still out of range. So you wasted that complete turn with these guys. You don't want to like, you don't want to like keep running up the field, and by maybe like turn 3 or 4 you finally get to the enemy, unless they're running at you too. It becomes a waste. They won't last long. They'll die. So what do? Well, you can bring a dedicated transport, the Wave Serpent, which I highly recommend. And I'm just going to use this Falcon as an example. So when you actually pay for the points for a Wave Serpent as a dedicated transport, you just leave these guys off the table, just to show that, hey, they're in here, that type of thing. You don't like put them on the table. Alright, so the Wave Serpent is a fast, skimmer vehicle. And again, I'm just going to use this Falcon as an example. You can move 24 and not do anything with them, or unless you like upgrade for their engines and stuff. I'm not going to bother, just to keep things simple. So what can I do here? I can move up 12. I'll move up 12, and I will deploy them. Now, deploying them is, you got to deploy them right. That's the key. You can deploy up to 2 inches, from the exit and entrance, which is right here, because according to the vehicle description, it only has 1 entrance or hall, access point. So I'm going to deploy them 2 inches from the exit point. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the X-Arch in the back. And the reason why is because he has, normally he has a fire pike or so forth, which is farther range, is 18. So you want to make sure that the Fire Dragons, which are short range, are actually in range. Now we measure. Okay, they're actually all in range. So I have 5 of them. I roll. I need a 3 or higher because they're a 4. I gotta get to 7. 7 minus 4 is 3. I got a 2, a 1, a 4, a 5, and a 4. Their strength 8. Carnifex is usually a 6. I need a 2 or higher. Look at that. 3 wounds. 3 wounds already. Now my X-Arch. I need 2 or higher. I got a 6. I need 2 or higher again. I got a 6. It takes another wound. It's dead. Unless, of course they could upgrade it to have, 5 wounds, in which it would only be down to 1. But most of the time, most of the time it's going to have 4. So it's dead. You just killed it. And that's what you want to do. You know, you want to send these guys at the tough unit, and look, it worked that time. Now, say if you bring a falcon. Let me reset these guys up. You can alternatively, if you don't want a wave serpent, you can bring a falcon, which again is a good choice. But they're not going to be off the table because they're not actually in the falcon yet. On your first turn, you want to deploy them so that they are close to the falcon. Even have like the falcon in front, so that they, or at least close to it, so that in the first turn you want to make sure you're close enough to actually get in the falcon. So you just have to be 2 inches around the entrance and exit point. So in your movement phase, you just move, into that 2-inch range, and they're going to be in it. So in other words, you don't want to like start them all the way over here and the falcon way over here, because you don't want like your fire dragons to run up one turn and then like you're in your falcon to like move, like we'll say it's over here, way over here, because now you just wasted a turn. You're not in it yet. The point is to get them in it by turn 1, and basically do the same thing. Just send it up the board, drop them out, and then just shoot as long as you're in range. And this is how I pretty much use them. Now, if you're using, if you're fighting, if you're fighting like other units, like if you're fighting orcs, for instance, that have, like bad armor, then maybe you want to exchange the fire pike for that Dragon's Breath Flamer, which isn't a bad option because it's a template weapon. So let's just go. I'm going to go through just some simple, X-Arch powers and stuff. So yeah, like I said, if you're fighting swarms and so forth, like orcs and tyranids, yeah, you could upgrade for the Dragon's Flamer. It's not bad, but I kind of like the fusion guns. I kind of like the fire pikes. I usually don't do it. Fire pike's nice. Again, you can shoot farther. In the 12-inch, you get 18. And the X-Arch powers, the tank hunters, and the crack shot, I usually don't bother with these. If you really like them, then yeah, okay, fine, use them. But I just don't. I don't find them effective. Because geez, you already have a multi-gun, AP1. Do you really need that extra 1 roll on the vehicle damage table? Normally you don't. And crack shot, you get to re-roll any failed rolls to wound with your X-Arch, which in most cases you don't need it anyway, because you're strength 8, and you're probably going to be winning on 2s mostly. So yeah, okay, you might get that one that really sucks, but most of the time you don't need it. So that's how I use them effectively. Set them against good units, like I said earlier. Tough units to kill the enemy has, or very hard armor 14 tanks.